Hey, everybody, welcome back to Conversations in Ken's Cafe. We got Russ and Emily on with us. And for those of you that don't know, you can check them out on Wednesdays as well. And many other shows. Russ was telling me before the podcast started that he's on a lot of different shows. But Russ, Emily, why don't you tell us a little bit about why you guys are on all these different cannabis shows? To give us a little bit about your background. And you're on mute.
Hey,
There we
so
go.
actually we're having a bit of an echo, so we're just trying to figure that out to see where it's coming from.
Okay, do you have one of the other channels? You have two computers. Mute the other one, and then that should eliminate the echo. Okay, you're still on mute. So try it now.
We only have one computer and one window open, and we're still getting the echo. So
we only have one computer and
we're gonna try to shut down the stream on the dual stream on YouTube and see if that helps.
Yeah, try that. Okay, yeah. Are you guys still hearing it? The echo? Can you guys even hear me? Okay, you're hearing me.
Now we can hear you.
I think we're good.
Can you guys even hear me?
No, we're still.
Oh no, that's not it.
One more thing.
Okay. You guys, for the audience, this is the beauty of live streaming. You know, every once in a while we can have these issues, and we get them all figured out, and we'll go ahead from there. You have got two instances of the stream going. Guys, what's happening is StreamYard is allowing us to run for mobile phones as well as the normal YouTube size. That's why there's showing up as two streams. So if you're finding that the chat, or if you're on your phone, use that chat. If you're on, a laptop, etc., you can use the bigger chat. But it's going to vary, and you guys can jump back and forth between the chats as well. Can you hear Ken? Yes, no echo here. Oh, they jumped off. They're going to try to figure out what the heck is going on. We're going to drop out and come back in. Okay, perfect. So, yeah, just to let you guys know, they have a lot of different shows that they're on. If you go to Spartan Growing on both Instagram and YouTube, and Anything is Growing both on, again, YouTube and Instagram, you can check out these wonderful people that we're going to be talking to today. It's going to be a great show once they come back on. Thank you. Let's bring up some figgy pudding. It is that Christmas time of year, guys. So, yeah, we don't have shows between at Christmas and New Year's that Tuesday or that Wednesday, Thursdays. We're not doing any shows there, but we do have Monday with Layton. We got Dirt Right coming back to give us an update on how things are going with his system. And I think he's got some product now out on the east end of the U.S. where he's making compost. So if you guys are into living soil, and if you're looking for different, distributors of compost, you can check out that show. Maybe it's close to you, and you can get some stuff from him. And yeah, go ahead. Nice Kip is a good guy. Yeah, we've had him on before. He's also a contractor in concrete. So he's been pretty busy through the summer, so he hasn't been able to come back on. But now with the snow flying, like we got a foot of snow outside, my dang snowblower won't start. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do to clean my driveway up, so I can get out to even check my mail. But that's life in Canada. Oh, they're coming back on. Let's see if we have things figured out now.
Sounds good so far.
Yeah, only one.
Oh, I think it's good.
Okay.
I think we're
Well,
good. I
that's
think we're good. It was wild. We shut down everything, like everything. So there was just the desktop left, and we could still hear you talking. I'm like,
Every other browser was closed.
I hit
So-
I hit Control Delete, went to the task manager, and there's nothing running. But we heard you talking and heard all the audio. I'm like, what? So there's something that was playing audio in the background of the YouTube.
Do you have earbuds or anything like that?
No, I had to reset the entire computer. I had to just.
There was nothing we could shut down to stop the volume.
As soon as I did the system reset, it shut off, and it was fine. So I don't know. I didn't know what that was, but we got it. We got it. We're good.
Well, has that ever happened before on any of the other shows you do?
No, I haven't. I've not experienced that before. I kind of panicked a little bit. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I should know what to fucking do. This is not day one stuff. What's going on?
It's Christmas. It was Santa Claus sending the vibes from the north, high north. You know.
Yeah. Well, he can stop with that.
No, you need some snow down there. Come on.
I get tired of the snow, man. I think 3 out of the 5 days I worked today, or not today, but this week, I was shoveling snow off the sidewalks out front of the warehouse. I'm like, enough of the snow. All these people tell me they love snow. I don't think they have to shovel.
Yeah. They like to go skiing and snowmobiling, but dealing with I got what about a 600-foot driveway that I'm looking. I might have to shovel by hand, and I'm definitely not looking forward to that.
Oh man, I would be doing for the rest of, I don't know, if it took my life, I would be saving up for a 4-wheeler with a plow on the
Just
front
be
of it.
safe. Apparently, snow shoveling is not a safe venture.
It's all right.
No,
I'm taking little chunks.
Yeah, and I'm physically screwed up pretty bad, so sometimes it's going to be even worse. But I wanted to address this. I told guys I couldn't get my snowblower working. Yeah, generally I'm smelling gas coming through, so I'm thinking it's more flooded. I left it for a day, but I'm gonna have to work on it again tomorrow. I just ran out of oomph today.
Sometimes I feel like a snowblower is more trouble than it's worth, and then it works and it's beautiful. I'm like, no, these are the best things ever. And then
Well, I've had it. When I bought my property 16 years ago, the snowblower came with the property, and it's been really good for 15 years. I replaced the carburetor last year, and worked great. And then this year I went to start it to clean snow, and it doesn't want to start. So I have to pull the spark plug, clean the spark plug, and it may just not be getting spark. So
give her a little tune up. Be all right.
Yes. It's kind of like me, and it's getting a little tune up, and let's get into that a little bit, because I know you guys do a lot of work on the medical side of cannabis. So we kind of broke off, but give us a little backstory on Russ and Emily.
Okay, do you want to go first so I can take this dab?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm also Anything Grows. Right now, I've got my Instagram down, but that is where you can find me. Typically, but basically I've only been using cannabis for a handful of years. I started using it as an adult, and I chose to use it as a form of alternative medicine. I was on some pretty heavy pharmaceuticals. Most of my life I've been on a lot of antipsychotics and anti-anxiety, antidepression. I do have schizoaffective bipolar, and so when I made the choice to switch to using cannabis over some of those heavier medications, it was actually because I didn't want to be on those since I was pregnant. And the birth defect rate for some of the medications that I was on was exponential, and I wasn't willing to risk that. So I found cannabis at that time and talked to my doctor about it. Ended up switching over, and my first experience, with cannabis wasn't the greatest, to be honest with you, but I did more research to it because the bud tender who I had just gone in after I'd gotten my medical card and talked with wasn't the most like informed themselves. And so I wasn't helped the way I needed to be helped. And so instead of just giving up, I mean, I definitely put it at the top of my medicine cabinet for a few weeks. But instead of like giving up on that, I tried it again and, you know, kind of did my own research into it so that I could have more say, have more understanding. I went back in and tried again, and I had ended up, sorry, my dog's trying to get in and she won't come in.
She keeps whining.
She could just walk through the door, but she doesn't realize it, as big as she is. So, so I ended up, you know, actually having benefit from cannabis in a lot of different aspects, like, you know, mentally, physically, just overall, it helped me through aspects of like therapeutic aspect of growing itself. Like it started out consuming. Okay. I was a heavy consumer right from the get, and I wasn't able to afford very well, sort of like what, I was consuming. And I was like, well, I can just grow it. And that's a lot cheaper. So I started to grow myself. And when I had experienced that, just the therapeutic way of cultivating was awesome. And I mean, I'd had a handful of houseplants and things like that. So it was a whole new experience, the care of the plant, and then having it full circle where you could harvest and benefit from what you had just grown and like created. And so that was wonderful for me to experience. And so I've just grown, you know, with that. And now I've been able to experience cannabis like in a lot of different ways, and my relationship with it has grown a lot in itself, because like when I was first using it, even though it was the safer option for me, because I like to view it as a way of harm reduction, even in terms of using it as a substance. Like it's able to be used to help people get clean and stuff off of some heavier medications or heavy drugs. And it's okay to have something to rely on to get you through. That's not a bad thing, especially if you're going to wake up the next day. And so, you know, with cannabis, it doesn't seem to matter how much I consume. It, you know, always evens me out is what it feels like. It always has helped me. And I always
stood out as the safer option.
It's always been the safer option. So I have grown organic mostly. When I had first started growing, I tried synthetics and saw that it like burnt my plants because I just dumped stuff on and didn't know what I was doing and was like, oh, never mind then.
Oh, so the synthetic burnt your plants, or did you burn your plants?
You know what? Nowadays, Emily will say, I actually ended up burning them. I didn't know what I was doing. So I kept it organic, and I've grown that way, except for recently over the past few weeks. Russ works with GML, and he has been developing GML nutrients, which are a synthetic blend. And so I've actually been really enjoying using synthetics, because it's a set number, if you will, that you have to get to. It's not a lot of guesswork of what could be missing here, or what's this bug, or what's this thing. I mean, you still have to worry about bugs and stuff, but there's a lot more in biology that you have to look at and be like, should I be concerned about that thing crawling in there? So I've recently been really enjoying the synthetic side. But overall, I mean, I just like growing cannabis. I like consuming it. I like talking about it. So that's me.
And for me, I started out in Michigan as a caregiver. In 2008, they passed the law to give you the ability to be a caregiver, so you can grow cannabis plants for somebody else who either can't or is not willing to, or is just plain sick, and they need somebody to grow their medicine for them. Excuse me. But so I ended up getting into that program where I could grow cannabis for up to 5 patients, and I ended up getting a card that was 5 patients, and started being a caregiver in Michigan. One of my biggest inspirations was my uncle, who was diagnosed with stage 5 pancreatic cancer. And at one point in his life, and I didn't know about this, that he had that, and so he made this post. But he made a post on Facebook saying, come see me. The doctors basically sent him home saying he had a week to live, or no, a month to live. I'm sorry, not a week. He said they had a month to live. There's nothing more that they could do for him, and that this cancer that was stage 4 was going to take his life. And so I made a post because at the time I'd been a caregiver for maybe half a year to a year at that time, and I just remember replying to that and saying, I have a cure. We have a cure for that. So the doctors don't know. They don't, know your end time. We have a cure here. We'll get you started on it. So I started making cannabis oil and got him on it, slowly ramping him up, working even with his doctors. One of the biggest things I noticed as we got stronger with the cannabis oil that they had to decrease was the blood thinner that my uncle was on. So there's definitely a huge blood thinning aspect to high levels of cannabinoids in your system for sure. And long story short, after a year, he said they said he was going to be gone in a month. After a year, he was diagnosed cancer-free and all his tumors were non-detectable. So that was still using regular traditional medicine alongside of cannabis. I always try to stress that because a lot of people want to say us versus them. This is, big pharma and it's terrible, but big pharma saved a lot of lives too. They've taken a lot, but they've also saved a lot. So there are some tried and true medicines, but I'm saying cannabis can help at least fix the harms of that medicine. And it can help you get healing holistically, full body healing. But so that was like the spark in me. Then I had to know everything I could find out about cannabis. I instantly got online. I was consuming shows like crazy back in the day, the Grow To Roundtable and all the people that were on there, and Future Cannabis Project's a big one. All these shows, and I got on shows. I've been on several shows that I just love. It's my way of giving back because I learned so much free. You just got to spend time. And so it's my way to give back, to get that knowledge out. And each show has their own focus, but it's all free knowledge. And that's the stuff that I love because it's at the end, in the end, I just want everybody growing because that's the best medicine, in my opinion. And, if everybody can grow, they can get the power to take over that, their medicine, which is huge. And that's a huge boost to the brain every day anyway, just having that walking around in your back pocket.
Well, I always tell people, listen to many voices and find the ones that resonate with you and then follow those because those are the ones that you're going to learn from.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned, you were listening to all these shows, but now you're on a bunch of these shows as well. So just to give all those shows that you're on a quick shout out, if you could, Russ.
Yeah. So the show I've been on the longest is the Cheap Home Grow, and that's Growing with My Fellow Growers. So it's the Cheap Home Grow YouTube channel, and the show is called Growing with My Fellow Growers. And it's a scientific based show where we try to keep it scientific. We even oftentimes will find white papers. You get them on there, go through them, and it's funny because we enjoy that because one of our most favorite things to do is go to the white papers of whatever the study is, but it happens to be about, horticulture or cannabis in some way. Is go look, see what the plants were like that these scientists grew before we even consider taking any of their data seriously, because literally 8 out of 10 times there's some sad looking, terrible plants to begin with. It's like, what is your data? What is your data going to tell me when your plants are garbage to begin with? Come on, guys. And so, even, their baseline is a garbage plant. Of course, the data is going to say different things. So, so that's kind of a fun show to me. It's always been really fun, real home grow centric, and it's cheap home grow, but frugal and cheap kind of go hand in hand. It might be an expensive item, but buy it once and never have to buy it again. That's still cheap in the long run, if you ask me. So we do also, mention things like that if they're quality items. Bring that up. The GML show I do, and that's the Grandmaster Level show, and that's on Saturday nights, and that's who I work for now as well. I run the warehouse, the USA warehouse. So any lights that are sent, LED lights that are sent from Grandmaster LEDs to the USA usually goes through me. I usually unloaded that sucker off a truck, me or Emily.
Big muscle right here.
And we unloaded the truck and then loaded up the UPS truck when they ordered the lights. So big shout out to anyone who gets a Grandmaster LEDs. That we appreciate that. But that's usually we're talking about lighting and the business of lighting and growing under our lights. That's usually what we talk about on that show.
Which makes sense, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It makes a lot of sense. And then one of my also long-standing shows, actually it might be my second longest show now, is the Let's Be Buds show, and that's on Wednesdays. And that's what you're familiar with Uncle Rick and Dave and Emily and I. And we have our newest addition, Josh, who's got an awesome Yellow Skunk Farms. You have to check him out on Instagram. He's got amazing, and on YouTube. He's got amazing ecosystem. I'm not going to even call it just a grow. It's an ecosystem. We got turtles and fish and everything. And that show's really fun. It's like going and meeting up with the family every week, you know, and catching up on everybody's grow. And
seeing like all our friends and stuff in chat. That's just, I look forward to it every week.
Yeah, and we do a lot. That show, we really focus on raising money for Last Prisoner Project is the charity we're working with right now, and that's to get cannabis prisoners out of jail for non-violent cannabis crimes. Why are we sitting in jail, especially in jurisdictions where it's legal now? Why are they still?
People are profiting like unbelievable amounts, and yet there's still over 40,000 people who are behind bars for non-violent cannabis crimes, and that's at a federal level. The state level, there's even more. Like every state can do its own in releasing cannabis prisoners. And so, you know, anybody who's listening, don't be afraid to stand up and speak to your legislation about clemency programs and opportunities like that. And if you want more information on the lastprisonerproject.org, they do have ways to connect just information about how to start conversations like that. And then, of course, you can reach out to prisoners on there. They have a letter writing program. This time of year is super, there's a big push for letters to be sent out to prisoners because a lot of them don't have friends or family left to do reach out. And you got to think we're out here getting to celebrate, toke up any way that we please. And they're stuck behind bars for doing exactly that, you know, like not hurting anyone, at least, you know.
Or less. So, those people that were caught with nothing.
Yeah, there's conspiracy charges. There are people for conspiracy charges.
Yeah, we literally talked to the people behind bars that the Last Prisoner Project has helped get out of prison. And some of the best things where Last Prisoner Project helps is like they put money in their commissary. Or they put money, they have a fund for when you do get out of jail. Here's $1,000 so that you can pay your rent the first couple months. Yeah, and you don't have to worry about that. If you need
to put money towards a car so that you can get employed, you know, they'll help you with funds for that.
Just basic human stuff, and it's amazing the work that they're doing. I'm glad they're doing it.
So, Emily, why don't you type that into the chat so that we can bring it up, the link for people to get onto that as well.
Yeah.
Tio says that private prisons profit off taxpayers for kidnapping people for non-crimes. And it's very true. These prisons are for profit. So it's not like it used to be, you know, for, you know, the government, you know, just paying for everything. It's all corporate, you know, prisons nowadays.
Yep. And think about it too, is a cannabis user is an easy target. It's not somebody who's going to put up a big fight. It's not usually somebody who's going to be extremely physical. They're usually laid back and they're going to be an easy catch. So it's another unfortunate thing is it makes you a little bit of a target in the system that rewards every filled bed with a dollar sign, right?
Yes. And it's wrong in so many ways. And I'm glad that you guys are letting people know about this as well, because it's very important to, you know, reach out and help these people, especially, you know, at Christmas time where these people have no one on the outside, you know, sending them a letter, you know, saying, you know, we're with you, or, you know, whatever you want to say, whether you send them a Christmas story, make up a poem. These people are going to appreciate that personal touch.
Yeah, we're gonna get it put in the chat. I think I tried sharing it, but I don't know if it popped up because I don't see it in chat going.
Is it .org?
Yeah, it's .org.
This comment has failed to post.
No, post it in private chat. I think it's just because we're new on the channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you should be able to put it into the main chat on the channel.
No, it said it won't allow it to post because it's an outside link.
Okay, yeah.
Like permission in your channel or something, but I just put it in the private chat, and then you can just share it, copy and paste it.
Yep, I'm gonna do that right now. And get back over to comments. I should be able to post it. Okay, Last Prisoner Project. So you guys can check that out. Please check that out. As well as the other shows that Josh was talking about that he's on as well. You know, the more we help each other on YouTube, the more recognition this plant is going to get. Now, I want to get back to Emily when you switched over from organic to this new regimen. Are you still growing in soil? Is it a straight hydroponic system? You know, tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we still have organic going. We grow in sips with our organic system, but we're trying it out with just a few strains at a time, and that's in a hydroponic system, a DWC bucket.
It's a simple 5-gallon bucket with water in it and 2 air stones and a pump.
Yeah. Cool. Have you guys ever done anything with aquaponics or aeroponics?
No. Well, aeroponically cloner, you know, if you count that. But no, not any plants all the way to the end that way. That's like scares me. That's like that's like driving a race car, man. If you make one wrong turn, you're in the wall. Like,
yeah.
Get nasty.
Now, okay, because I do aeroponics on cloning as well. Do you have a small unit? Use a big unit? Because I found a lot of people were complaining about the smaller units having problems, and basically it's the pumps are overheating the water. So, have you found that yourself?
I switched from the aeroponic to a DWC cloner, so it's essentially just. I took a aeroponic cloner, took all the guts out of it, just filled it with water, and used the collars to hold the plants into there. And I've got literally 2 air stones in there, just bubbling the water. So I've turned it to a DWC cloner. So I have a DWC cloner, and then 2 DWC buckets now we have going. And the first one we've already harvested it was a Mac 1 plant, which I just put up on my Instagram, and it looks pretty fucking great. I don't hate to toot my horn home, but it looks fucking good. I'm very excited with it. Actually, I can probably screen share that. Let me find it.
Yeah, go ahead.
But it was my very first run with the Grandmaster level nutrients, and Emily actually did the second half of the run pretty much herself while we were in flower. And it's 3 parts total. It has a base nutrient, then it has a veg nutrient and a bloom nutrient. So while you're in veg, you use the base in the veg at 50-50 parts, you know, whatever you use of this one, you use the same of this one. And so if you're using a gram of base, you use a gram of veg all the way through veg. And then when I went to flower, you switch up to bloom. So instead of using veg, you use bloom. You still use the same base. So it's pretty easy. And then you just adjust.
And then I just make sure the numbers are where they're supposed to be. I couldn't mess it up.
All right, let me find my.
And Instagram. I did it. That's the good part.
Cool. Well, that's cool. Like I never grew in anything that wasn't 100% soil based, and I didn't use any nutrients that I had to buy off a shelf. I always made my own. So, you know, Korean natural farming methods and things like that. But I understand that's not, you know, acceptable for some people to do it that way.
I think it's very acceptable, but it's also like when your boss hands you free nutrients and says, "Hey, try these." I'm like, 90% still organic everywhere else, but I got these 2 buckets where I'm using my other free nutrients that I didn't have to work half as hard. And they're very shelf stable forever as long as I keep them dry. Hey, I'll try those and use them up at my leisure.
Well, and you can give a real definite opinion on whether they work or whether they're not working. And especially if you're running, a set of clones, one in the nutrients from your boss and one in a soil base, you're going to know the difference. You're going to see it right away.
We did that. That was our first grow. That's what we did. We grew this one right alongside one in my organic sip container. And this is the synthetic one. And this is Mac 1 too. So to be fair, it's a very frosty plant, just all on its own with genetics.
Okay.
I'm not taking credit for that. But I mean, this came out beautiful. And but I will say, when we harvested both plants, the organic one
smelled
at least 150% better.
Way better. Right off bat, right off cut.
Under the same light. And then obviously one was just organically living soil, where the other one was
the organic one
water
doesn't
and
look
nutrients.
as pretty, if you will. Like
absolutely.
The organic one has a lot smaller. It still is pretty dense, I would say, but just a lot smaller of bud size overall. So the yield is not going to be nearly as large.
There's more of them, so I think there is going to be. I still think that you're right that the hydroponic one's going to have a better yield, but I think it's going to be close together. I don't think it's going to be.
That'll be interesting. We should try that also with the next one, whatever we run. Make sure that they're trimmed up the same, so that one of them doesn't have a bunch of extra tops to worry about where it's putting its energy.
Yeah, because we had way more tops on the
right.
organic one, so it spread that energy around, and there were smaller nugs because of that.
Yeah, true.
Well, and that's the thing about running them as an experiment to see. Now you're talking the flavonoids are so much better on the organic one, so you obviously understand that there's a lot more compounds in the soil structure that you're using that are available for the plant than the straight stuff out of the bottle. So you can tell your boss he's missing components that he needs to add in. But have you guys smoked it yet? Is there a difference in the does it burn the throat, the flavor profile,
it's almost unfair because it's freshly trimmed to smoke it right now. But I smoked it. Of course I smoked it. Yes, I smoked it. And I think they both smoke very similarly as far as when I had to say, like, is one smoother or harsher than the other? I would say they were similar.
Yeah, I would say when they got ground up, though, I knew which one was an organic one being ground up between the two. It just smelled so much zestier.
Yeah, and then the flavor also, stuck out a little bit more on the organic because of that. But again, it's really early on. I'm sure, I would still consider it right now harsh, but it's fresh. So I would say on both of them, they need to cure. And we can get a better. Of course, we're going to smoke it though, right? But yeah, we need to let it cure and give it another real test in probably a week and see and get a better idea.
Did you get a COA on it?
No, man. It's right now for me. It's a curious thing. I would be curious to know, but at the same time, being in the industry, I've also worked commercially. We talked before the show. I don't know if I brought it up on the show. But I have worked commercially, and I know a lot of people that work commercially, and there's so much drama in the testing that what does a COA even mean anymore? So do you want me to? Yeah, so it's hard for me to pay money for something that really doesn't mean anything to me, except for a general assumption, I guess, a general idea. So no, I haven't done that. If I was like really dialing in a strain or really curious, but right now this was like my first ever run with it. Just wanted to see how I could do it. I didn't have any direction on what EC to run, what anything. I just said, okay, I'm just going to run half of each. We're going to run it like it's 50-50 and see how the plant runs. So I can do all kinds of playing around with it, adjusting nutrient levels to try to get a different expressions. And when I do that, maybe it might be worth my time to spend the money to go ahead and have it lab tested. But again, I don't really care I don't care what a piece of paper fucking says. I want to smoke it. That's my lab test, because whatever the lab test says, it doesn't convince me I'm going to like it or I'm not going to like it. And that's what I'm going to go with as a grower. That's always worked for me, is just fucking try it. And does it work for me? Or vice versa. If I'm growing a plant for somebody else and they say, hey, I smoked that GG4 that you grew and it eliminated my back pain. Give me an ounce of that. That sticks in my brain forever. And I know, hey, if someone says I have back pain, I'm going to suggest GG4. Just because it worked for one fucking person, I'm going to assume that it might work for everybody else until I am told otherwise.
Well, it's an option now to try.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a direction, right? Because like, I don't know if you remember Kevin Jodrey in his 4 profiles of how he profiled the different plants. Have you ran across Kevin?
I'm familiar with Kevin, and I remember he had that profile, but I couldn't tell you what they are.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. One was gassy, and there was
fruity, maybe.
Yeah, but I know that he was really had that dialed in for what the different profiles were helping with. So I don't know. You might
in general. There's definitely some things that just when you say, like, here's a perfect example. If I say this, some people will really be like starting nodding their head. It's like, if I am in any way depressed or I want to just have an upbeat attitude, I'm going to search for something that smells citrusy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And usually those terps will bring an uplifting experience or something like that. For me, there are people that it works opposite on, so it all depends. But once you figure out what works or how the keys work in your keyholes, you can use that to your advantage medicinally, and you can have a different strain on your. If you're a home grower, especially, because you can grow those strains and you can have that jar sitting on your shelf and be like, oh, there's my headache medicine. Okay. And there's my back pain medicine. And there's my sleep medicine. You know what I mean? You got all that stuff up there, and the little hoarder in you just gets so happy because you have all your medicine.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask, had you grown that particular strain before? Are you familiar with that plant?
Yeah. Mac 1 is a head stash for me. And as I don't know if you're familiar with that plant, but Capulator is the breeder of Mac 1, and it's a cut. And he made it famous because I don't know if he started, but there's a legend or a tradition that was passed with the cut itself. And that was that the cut is not to be sold to anybody. And the cut, of course it is now, but not by me. I never will. I'll never sell it. But the cut's never to be sold, and it's only to be gifted to another grower that you respect as a grower, because it's a finicky plant and it needs to be somebody who's a good cannabis grower so that it can be really show up. But when it shows out, it's beautiful. And so it was gifted to me by another grower, Michigan Matt. Shout out to Michigan Matt for that. And so it's kind of because of that tradition, it was a kind of an honor. And I always try to treat her right. And I call her the supermodel cannabis, because she is picky as shit. And she's got really tight inner nodes, so you got to really clean them out. A lot of extra work. And but once you get her into flower, she's really slow growing, so it's like, oh, come on, will you go? And then but finally, when you get her into flower, she kind of speeds up with the stretch, and then she shows out with her bud set. And then she's got, like, if you look at her trichomes under a microscope, she's got like really long stalks on her trikes. So when you look at the bud without any magnification, you're just kind of looking at it close, it almost appears like the trichomes are like sticking out.
She's
like
fuzzy.
Yeah, just like fuzzy with frost, and it makes it look really nice. And well, you saw her. And so it's a real special plant. It's always been a real special plant, real dense. And for me, it was always one for me that puts me to sleep. It's one that'll help me right before bed.
Cool. Well, actually, I started out with the New York Sour Diesel, and that was the plant I grew for 3.5 years, and I still have several pounds sitting in a bucket just because of how I consume. I don't actually have to grow right now. I probably won't have to grow for another year from now. I'll
That's
have to look at growing again.
That's incredible. That's awesome because you know that you're taken care of and you provided that for yourself.
I would be
Yeah.
wanting to like dry sift or do some kind of preservation and maybe concentration of that product.
Well, I was doing dry sifting. I actually built my own press.
Sweet.
I did all of that to try to find the best because like I blew out nerves out of the back of my back. I almost died a couple of times, so I've had some serious health issues for the last 16 years.
Damn.
Oh gosh.
The tramadol that was controlling my pain and the muscle relaxants, I basically lost my brain. I was like maybe a 10 or 12-year-old. I couldn't think clearly.
Ugh.
And the cannabis has allowed me to get off of all of that stuff, give me my life back. And it's amazing how this plant can help so many different things and give us a second lease on life.
Absolutely. And this is like you said, there's so many parts of the plant, and that's what with the DWC that I'm interested in is I've heard that there's a compound in the roots of the plant. I can't believe it was a cannabinoid. I believe it was a cannabinoid. I'm not sure, but it was a compound in the roots that they traditionally make tea out of that's very healing, and it's found nowhere else in the plant. And so how easy is it to harvest roots in DWC, right? I mean,
yeah.
So
the thing is it going to be the same in a DWC solution as it would be is pulling it out of a soil solution or a soil grow where you have all the different biology, all the different components. Like we've already, assessed that, the flavonoids aren't there from the DWD system or that those particular nutrients. So there's going to be a vast difference between the two.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I still think that there would be still medicine to be had, right? It's like,
yeah.
rather than throwing them in the compost, which wouldn't be a total loss. But I think if there are cannabinoids, even low levels, it'd be interesting to at least get it into a tea because a tea can always be boiled down, and that's the way to concentrate a tea. So, so I would just be interested in. I'm always trying to find the way to get all the medicine.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I know a lot of people, they actually make a tea, then they'll take a small bud and just throw it in the hot tea.
Oh.
And then, just let it steep like, a normal tea leaf, and they drink that down and they're getting the effect from the cannabis through that methodology. So, and that's where, like I tried the concentrates and I tried the smoking. I tried, I didn't really look at going too far into the RSO, but I make creams and the whole 9 yards to find what would work best for my particular body and what was hurting me. And I just make gel caps. I mix, so much cannabis in with diatomaceous earth. I make 100 gel caps at a time, and I take 1 or 2 a day. But it's that research and all that research of the different methods of using the cannabis plant is like, holy, you can do all these different things with this plant and get so much benefit from it.
Yeah. And I would, in like the way that you're consuming it is cool to me. I think that's great. But what I would do is I would make a different gel cap with every cultivar, or blend them all together and make one, and then take one of each cultivar at the same time. That way you get a wider range of cannabinoids. You're not restricting yourself to just one strain's worth of cannabinoids. Unless that's all you have is one strain to work with. But I would really try to mix in a little bit of everything. Like I do, that's what I do with the RSO. I try to get as many strains, like 4 or 5 different strains, as widely apart as I can, to try to really get all I can. And it seems to be the best medicine.
Well, and that's where, if you're only consuming it in one methodology, you can lose a lot. And if you're not doing a full spectrum, then you're losing a lot of the components. That's where, I think the concentrates that we're making out of cannabis, we're losing a whole bunch of different available, help for our bodies. But then we look at the soil the same way, or we should be looking at our soils the same way. Like you were saying, 5 different strains. Well, put in 5 different strains of biology into your soil, because that's going to give your plant that much more potential of reaching its genetic potential. If you're doing that, if you have that mentality of the more the better, the more biodiverse, in your soil, the more available in your plant. And then if you're mixing 5 of those, plants that are, reaching its genetic potential, how much further can the medicine you're consuming actually go?
So I think you're going to like this a lot, but it's something that we've just figured out, after lots of information and trial error kind of a thing. So when I originally started using cannabis, it was to replace antipsychotic medications like lithium. I was on haloperidol. I've been on things like Adderall, Xanax, things like that. And so I've been off of those now for, handful of years. Like, I used to be so bad that I wouldn't be able to leave my house unless I made sure that I had my Xanax prescription on me, even if I wouldn't use it, because there was a time when I wasn't trying to use medicine anymore and I was using cannabis, but I couldn't leave home without, the pill bottle still. And it's now to the point where, oh shit, I can't leave home without my RSO capsule. I got,
yeah,
it's so much safer. It's so much easier. Oh my gosh. But it's been very hard for me to view cannabis as medicine and not as a drug that I'm abusing or I'm an addict or anything like that, because just the way that I grew up with it and the way it was looked at, it was a drug that was abused. And so, that was how I saw it. And so, with using cannabis, I've been able to see how somebody can, and I feel that, I respect it. I've used cannabis when I first found it to be helpful, to help with my head and stuff like that. I started to actually abuse it, and I would just consume as much as I could. And even though it was the safest option, again, harm reduction, I wasn't benefiting, from it.
Super healthy.
Yeah, it wasn't healthy still, my relationship or the way that I was approaching it. And so it got me through hard nights, where I would spend nights just rolling joint after joint, and I'd have 20, 30 joints, and I'd be chain smoking the whole time. And even if I passed out, I'd wake up, and that was so important, because before I would pop a pill and then 5 minutes went by and I still don't feel better. Here's another one. 5 more minutes. Here's another one. And then how many within the hour until I pass out, and then I'm waking up sick and hoping I wake up kind of a thing. And I've had scary situations. But all I want to do is help myself, because again, I have some shitty ass mental health problems, and there's lots of shit in my head that I'm trying to calm down and get through. And at that point in time, it was just, let me get them away as quick as I can in any way I can. Let me get away from myself in any way that I could. So switching to cannabis, life-saving right then and there. And as I've kind of grown and used cannabis more, and really kind of had to, I've unfortunately myself have been dealing with other health issues these past handful of years. So I started to use cannabis, and then all of a sudden I was still getting sick I was getting sick constantly. I was losing weight like nobody's business. And anytime I'd go to a doctor, they would say, well, you have cannabis hypermesis syndrome. And it's like, wait a minute.
So frustrating. So frustrating.
Hold on now. I swear it's helping me. But how are you going to go into a doctor and tell them that? So it was a lot of struggle, a lot of fighting. And so I would go, I would not use for a while and just be sick and unable to function, to be honest with you, because I didn't have that even little bit of safety net that I was using. And so finally ended up finding out that I had a stomach infection that was eating my stomach lining. And it's called H. pylori. And you can get it from abusing like ibuprofen. You can get it from being a really heavy drinker. You can develop it from like unclean water environment, eating habits, things like that. And so I wasn't like, unfortunately, like I think I had it for a handful of years, because when I was a child, it was not the best environment to grow up in. And I can recall getting sick, from a younger age and experiencing things like that. So as I got older and that illness got worse, it finally got to the point where it was eating through my stomach and causing some really big problems. And so I had to go on like really heavy antibiotics to fix it. And cool, we fixed it. But I'm still getting sick. I'm still hurting. I still can't function properly. Like this is not normal. And so, with that, I'm going to the doctor all of the time and figuring out like, okay, well, it's your gallbladder now. And so I have to get my gallbladder taken out, and then I'm still getting sick. Like,
well, then the gallbladder being out brings more problems. Now oil can't be digested because you're not producing bile. So now we have to look for other sources of bile. There's organic, I guess we call it organic source when you get ox bile.
Yeah. So, okay. So I got my gallbladder taken out. And so my diet went down to, I was eating cheese, mozzarella cheese, and sliced deli turkey. And if I could handle sour cream and onion chips, like just so I could have flavor and salt and stuff, and that was my everyday breakfast, lunch, dinner. Well, I'd eat once a day and I'd nibble if I had to, because I would avoid eating. I lost so much weight because I was so scared to put anything in my body. It just would hurt.
It wasn't getting digested.
It was passing
straight through, and it wasn't absorbing any of the nutrient.
Yeah. And so it just felt like such a hassle. So for a handful of years now, my relationship with food has been, even to this day, I'm afraid to eat, but I'm on a better track. And so there was a time in there where I had to stop using cannabis, because I couldn't digest it very well. I kept getting sick every time that I would try to take edibles, whether it was coconut oil or butter or RSO. Oh my gosh, I could not handle RSO. I would be doubled over on the floor in pain because I could not handle processing just that amount of oil. And heavy user, heavy consumer. So I'd be taking up to about 0.5 gram at a time, but I wouldn't be able to process it. And so I'd get sick and throw it up before I could even get benefit. So I had to figure out other ways to medicate. And I'm super thankful for all of the different ways that cannabis brings, because not only is there flower, which I can grow myself, but I'm able to find people and friends and things that have concentrate form. And that was huge in my, I want to call it my repertoire, my medicine bag, because it's such an acute way to get relief is through concentrate and through a dab. And also it's not so time consuming or stinky or anything like that. And being a mom that, every day I'm with my kids, I'm doing it. So I have to make sure I feel okay through it. I need something that's going to be able to quick help. And so I was able to use dabs for a while, and I started to learn more about, which is silly because I was organic growing my cannabis, but I started to learn about like gut health and that I have to like rebuild that. So I started to learn things about like digestive enzymes and probiotics. And so those were game changers. I could take RSO again with digestive enzymes, and sometimes I take like 3 or 4 at a time because I would still, feel pain and stuff when it would digest, but I wouldn't be throwing up. I wouldn't be doubled over. And I would just take more enzymes to kind of help and get through it. And so that was incredible to kind of find was digestive enzymes. And then I'm still, unfortunately, now this is over the course of this past year, I would say about a year and a half.
Well, the probiotics build up your gut flora, but then we did some research and found out that the particular gut flora that
I was growing. Yeah. So that the brands that I was using. So, over the past 2 years now, I've been really healing and being able to branch out and try foods and do more and not get as sick, but then I'm still getting sick and it's taken down, it's not very easy. It's full body symptoms where it's like flushing, my muscles are convulsing, I'm vomiting, I can't breathe. It's head fog. It feels like I'm underwater. It's miserable. And it's for hours at a time. And it's sometimes every night, sometimes just a few a week. But it's, you can't really, it's just as long as I have enough RSO in me before 6 o'clock hits, then I'll be able to get through whatever that sick period is. Cause it would typically hit towards the end of the night when everything would end up coming down and decompressing and stuff. So I still was trying to figure out, why am I getting sick? What's going on? There's still something not quite right. But we, through going to like physical therapy for certain things that I have to get help with, because
essentially going to all of the doctor appointments to check off what she doesn't have.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not that. It's not that. It's not that. We run into online. She's looking into something.
Yeah.
So mast cell something.
Yeah. So it's called MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome. And so that, along with, I have a few of the other comorbid factors of Ehlers-Danlos, where your collagen is very loose and my joints are very loose. So I have a lot of just all over fucking body pain and like blood pressure things with POTS, and MCAS is kind of like the trifecta. And so my physical therapist had brought it up to me about the same time that I had just stumbled across it myself. And so I was like, you know what, let's look into this more. And so I go and I'm to my doctors and things, and they're unfortunately not the most helpful with some things, because then they hear cannabis, and I wasn't expecting that in Michigan, but that really took me back. As soon as they heard cannabis, they were like, oh, well, it's hypermesis syndrome.
Well, that's the unfortunate fucking thing is like, how common is vomiting as a symptom to anything else, any other disease, like flus and people who drink too much or food poisoning. But if you say that you smoke cannabis and you also vomit, it's none of those things. It's the most rarest condition there is. It's cannabis hyperemia. It's like, I appreciate you looking out, but that's not what it is.
So, I find out, like, after looking into this, it deals with a lot of issues in terms of like histamine tolerance. And so like, I can't process histamine very well, apparently. So the enzymes that I've been taking, even though they are helping because they are breaking down like the oils and the foods and stuff, they're also like the probiotics and the other parts in the enzymes are growing very high histamine flora. And so I'm like growing exactly not what I need. And so like only the past week I've gotten new like histamine avoidant strains and lactobacillus, and there's a few other ones in the probiotic that I have that are all known to be histamine reducing. And it's been a game changer again, because like I've now taken RSO for 2 days in a row and only had one enzyme and not had any pain or any nausea or any want to throw up. Whereas, before I was taking still 2 or 3 at a time, and sometimes like still getting stomach aches, even if it wasn't making me vomit. So just seeing that difference of like, you have to find out exactly what your specific body needs. You have to understand like that there could be a few different things going into it. Yeah. And this whole time, cannabis has been like one of the most grounding factors. And before the show, we had talked about a little bit about like, you're a chronic cannabis user, you use cannabis every day. I do too. And I like to use it in different capacities because like I feel like there's a few different things. So one, it's like a lot of people I feel like might consider somebody to have like a high tolerance, but I feel like that's just because they have low endocannabinoid levels. I don't necessarily feel like it's because they just smoke a lot. I feel like people who do consume a lot need those endocannabinoid levels to be raised up. And so like in my head, when I was first learning about what the endocannabinoid system is, I viewed it as like vials in my body because I knew that there was a bunch of different cannabinoids like CBD, CBG, CBN, THC, THCV, all of those different ones. Okay. So I figured I had like a bunch of vials somewhere, and I'm a very visual person. So like when I wake up in the morning, there's some days where it's like I need to consume immediately. And it feels like it doesn't matter if I can take 2 or 3 hits. It could be a handful before I feel like those levels are rising and I feel like I've been leveled out or evened out. And it takes quite a bit, I feel like, because there's a lot of people who have to get to that medicinal level before they can spill over into a recreational side. And there's people out there who like, might be able to start with their levels a bit higher up. So when they consume, say they smoke 1 joint, they're already spilling over into that recreational because at least those levels are now medicinally topped off. We're good. So it's, being able to think over the course of the past handful of years using RSO and cannabis and being able to stabilize myself has been awesome. It's been such a healing kind of understanding for me. But it is still something that I'm trying to get a grip on when it's like consuming a lot, because would a person with asthma apologize for having to come and take a puff of an inhaler? No, they wouldn't. They would just handle it and go back to business. So why am I scolding myself for coming in, taking a rip of a bong, gathering myself and going back to business? And like you had said, cannabis is able to help so many different ailments and so many different people. I'm literally using it to help my mental health, my physical body, my well-being, and just like as a good person in the environment, because I'm growing it myself. Like I'm not even trying to.
And what's the mental healing aspect of the nurturing of the plant and growing it through the whole process and then consuming that medicine?
It's incredible. It's been such an incredible thing to be able to have full autonomy and say and actual hands-on activity in. And as somebody who, like, I was 8 years old when I was first put on those pharmaceuticals, and I'm talking like some of the heavier stuff, unfortunately. And I was just thrown, like every month we'd go back to the psychiatrist. Oh, that didn't change her. Here, try this one. And it would be a completely new one. And it would be, well, try this one here and this one there. And it's my body. I can remember being in so much pain. And just like, if I could have, like, even just as a kid, sure, not everybody's going to give their kid cannabis. I get that.
You just think,
but it's just like, if I would have known that there are other treatments than simply medication, because like there was never a time in my life where it was, let's nurture this plant and grow it so you can see how something will heal or what it needs or something, because that alone is so therapeutic and healing, and really sets you off on the right foot.
I always like to bring up the fact that there's a reason there's a placebo effect. There's a reason in all the studies why they have to have a control to account for people who just believe they're going to get better, because people get better when they believe they're going to get better. So there's something to the thought process. There's something to that energy. So if you just take a medicine that you have no clue how it was grown, I'm not going to say good, bad, whether, whatever. You take a medicine that you have no clue how it was grown, you know nothing about it, and you consume it, I think you have a better effect, hands down, if you take the same amount of medicine from something you grew yourself and you nurtured from the seed to the harvest, and you know everything about it, and you know how clean it is, and there's just something in the mental aspect of it that I don't know how to say it other than it's like it's
healing.
It's a holistic healing aspect. It's like you're treating not only the physical medicine of it, but the spiritual medicine at the same time.
Well, and that's very true. Like people don't really understand our energy, our frequency, our vibration not only affects the plant, but that plant is affecting us. That's where, you know, you're finding such relaxation when you go into the grow, and it's a meditative thing. So the more positive you are in your grow, the more positive energy you're putting into that plant, the more positive energy she wants to give back to you. Now,
Yeah.
Russ, I don't know if you,
I want to pause you there though, because I'm going to say, even if I have spent many nights in my grow just crying, having a miserable time being alive, but being around my plants felt safe. And so I would be there experiencing whatever I needed to and whatever was going on with me. And I was vulnerable with my plants. And I think that those ladies listen and they understand what you need to your core. They understand, like, a plant will know what it's missing and pull from things around it. It's going to hear and understand there's something in me that I need healed up or I need filled up. And that smoke that I get to fill up these lungs with, that's going to have it in there.
Yep, exactly. Now, Russ, you've been in a commercial grow. Have you ever, you know, had somebody come in that was in a really bad mood and see plant reaction?
Well, that's the thing is, like, yeah. So I've worked in a commercial grow, and it was called Mitten Canico out here in Michigan. And it was a team of usually 4 to 5 people from the top to the bottom of the entire operation. And we had 6 flower rooms, and each flower room, I believe, had 150 plants per flower room. And so could be a lot of work, but for that operation to be successful, you had to have, it was all about the team. It didn't matter about plant knowledge one bit. It had everything to do with how each person worked together. And like you're saying, if you come in with a bad attitude, I'm sorry, in that team, in that environment, it was, you check that at the door. The bad shit that happened, you could talk about that at lunchtime. We could talk about that after the shift, but we're not fucking bringing those bad vibes into here. It's going to fuck us up for the rest of the grow. We're not doing that. So yeah, absolutely. That was like a unwritten rule. But it was definitely said.
Well, and that's the thing. And, you know, people, unless you've been in that kind of an environment and start to understand that, you don't realize just how much your, you know, energy is interfering with everything around you. Like, people, they call it the woo-woo sciences, but
no, it's not even the plants, it's the other people you're working with. If somebody comes in with a stormy attitude, everybody's gonna be like, what the fuck? You know, they're instantly bad.
If you're spending all day listening to sad music, you're probably gonna feel a bit sad. Like,
yeah.
Well,
and that's the thing, you know, as human beings, we've been told, or we've been programmed to look at things, you know, that stuff doesn't exist. We, you know, put it off to the side. Oh, no, until you step into that, because you just got smacked in the side of the head with a 2x4 and went, oh, it does exist.
And it's not woo woo, and it's backed by fucking scientific papers, and you can look it up, do a Google scholar search. The research has been done. They've had research. One of the examples, I believe it was in the Secret Life of Plants. That was the example I'm thinking of, maybe. But it was they had kids, and it was elementary. I can't remember exactly the age, but they had outside of the classroom in the hallway, they had a plant, and it was divided by a divider, a wall between 2 plants. One was positive and one was negative. And you're allowed to say anything negative to the negative plant, anything positive to the positive plant. And as the kids went through the hall, they, you know, said whatever, and they got a kick out of it, of course. And lo and behold, the plants that had the positive words to talk that were spoken to them grew far better than the plants that had the negative ones. And it's been done more than one time. That's just one of the, there's been many different experiments like this, which I think is great, is when they have, like, ones where they yell at it or yell at plants, and the other ones they speak softly and kindly to, and there's just all different variations, and it's
Dr.
maybe
Yamamoto's work.
yeah, maybe it's just vibrations, right? Maybe it's scientifically it's just something to do with vibrations. I don't know, but I do know that whatever it is, we don't have the scientific explanation for it yet, but we do have the scientific data supporting. You got to give the plants good vibes if you want to get the best expressions out of them. You can get a good plant and still talk shitty to it. That's not impossible, but you could get a better plant if you didn't talk shitty to it.
Yes. Well, and it's that positive flow of energy, and that's what you experience when you commune with your plants. Like somebody that's growing roses, and they love their roses. They have beautiful roses.
Yeah.
But if they go in there, I just got to grow these damn roses, and they're not going to have nice roses. We're so much in tune. Science is only starting to measure these optics. They're only finding quantum entanglement in the last 15 years of how the energy is really starting to interact. But I've been an empath since I was very, very young, where I've been able to feel emotions, and you can feel those from plants, and you can go hug a tree and allow yourself to feel something, and you will start to feel something. That plant is going to talk to you, but until you allow yourself that it's possible, it's never going to happen for you.
Absolutely. If you shut that off, then you'll never be open to it.
Yeah. Now, I just wanted to point out, guys, the Goathead Gardens, I really appreciate your becoming a member of the channel and joining the channel. I don't know what level you are, but you're definitely a defender of the biology, and we really appreciate that you have joined, and you get special recognition in the chat, of course.
Heck yeah. Shout out Goathead Gardens, man.
Greatest of all time.
So this is amazing conversations, because we actually haven't talked that much about the actual growing side of things. So I know you went from being a caregiver into the commercial, and then back to caregiving. You started out soil, and then went commercial, hydroponic, and then you've come back to soil, or a mix of both?
Very, very close. So I started out, my very first grow was in 100% cocoa, and it was Grow More Dry Nutrients, I remember, out of California. And then I still have some of those, actually. Shout out to Grow More. And then after about a year or a year and a half of caregiving, then I ended up switching to more organic growing, and I finally found SIP container, which is sub-irrigated planters, and that just made it like, to me, it was almost like the in-between hydroponics and soil growth speed was happening. I saw increased speed, and like the plants acting like they were in a much bigger pot than what they were in, kind of a thing. Kind of like almost acting a little bit hydroponically as far as that goes. And it took the guesswork out of watering. It's really easy. So having the soil suspended over the water reservoir, and there's like a corner that the soil block goes all the way to the water, and the water just wicks up into the entire soil block. So there's a tube that goes all the way down that you can water through to get to the reservoir. Well, I just use that tube as a sight thing to look down to see if there's water, because if there's no water, I'll water it. I'll put about a gallon in there, and it's usually good for a day or two. And full flower, it might only be good for a day, but a gallon is sufficient. But if I look in there and I see any type of water, I just don't water it. And that keeps I think the key to that, or the reason that works so well, is I'm keeping the water level in that reservoir. I'm leaving an air space in there. And why that's important is because of that air tube that tube that goes down that you usually water through is also an air tube, air exchange. So you get an air exchange to the root zone underneath, where you don't usually get that. So you get increased oxygen to the root zone, which is pretty sweet. And it gets, I think, increased growth because of it. And it's always worked really extremely well for me. And I've had those sip containers with soil that I started out with. It was a bag soil, mixed potting soil, like it's called M3 mix out here in Michigan, which is Michigan marijuana mix, I think is what the M3 is.
Okay.
Michigan made mix. Maybe it's Michigan made mix. But it's really good. It came in during the caregiver boom in 2008, and it was always a really good mix. It's similar to Build a Soil. If I didn't have M3, I'd probably use Build a Soil or something similar. But anyways, I've had planters that are gone like 3-4 years now, so I don't know if I can even call it that mix anymore. So every time I harvest, I just cut a plant, and then I do a top dressed Build a Soil craft blend, and usually a little bit of gypsum. And yeah, that's probably usually it. Maybe some kind of a compost, like a worm casting or something. And I plant in it, and we start again. So
you're reinvigorating your soil after every round, running it through like a 30-day compost, or you're just adding new nutrients in and throwing it back in.
Absolutely. So yep, I'm just top dressing with dry nutrients. They're all organic, of course, from Build a Soil, and then I use it as a mulch layer. I chop up the plant. So when I harvest the plant, after I take all the buds off it and all the skeleton of the plant and the stalks, I chop up to about 1 inch, 1.5 inch lengths, and I gather those and I use that as a mulch layer. So my mulch layer is just cannabis stalk, and I will get barley usually to sometimes grow through as cover crop. I've top dressed, in that craft blend there's malted barley, and sometimes it actually sprouts, and it'll grow in there. And I always have a certain amount of barley growing underneath as a living mulch. And I really do notice that the living mulch plants always tend to be a fuck ton better. Some of my best plants have a living mulch. I'll just say that. So some of my best plants ever had a pretty extensive living mulch. So when I get the living mulches, I cultivate them. I don't fight them. I'll trim them so they don't get really tall.
We're gonna try a pretty one. We're gonna do nasturtiums.
Nasturtium would be fucking out. Yeah, we're big gardeners outside as well, as far as herbal, and they're all medicine. Every plant out there, whether it's food. Some people consider it all just food, but our food is their biggest medicine that we eat every freaking day.
Bingo.
And, so if you can grow that, you're so much further ahead of everybody else. But yeah, so the cannabis has kind of been a gateway to growing every other plant. Anything else that could help me in my life, I'm like, wait a minute, that's a plant? How do you grow it? Let's do that. Can we grow it here?
Yep. Is it the right zone for this area?
I got to keep it inside. What do we got to do? I got an extra tent.
Well, the really interesting thing is, and we all come from the soil. We all survive by the soil, but most people don't understand what that truly means. But everything we consume in our bodies, whether it's a plant, an animal, they're consuming things that grow in the soil. So the loop, all the biological loops, all the animal loops, and the nutrients and your enzymes, everything, it's in a rotation basis. It comes up from the soil into your plants. We consume it, and it goes back. So that's where the soil is so important. Now, you're thinking, or you're going to try nasturtiums, but in your grow, you're saying that the plants that you have that living plants in there do so much better. We call it more roots in the soil is a key, because you're able to draw more energy through the leaves from the light sources, the photons there. But it's also the biology that exists in those other plants are mining a little bit differently than the cannabis plant. So it's supplying more broken down nutrients. It's more available.
More diverse.
The cannabis plant doesn't have to put in the APT, the more work energy to draw those up, because the other plant's going, oh, here, I got some extra molybdenum. Here, I can share.
Yeah, absolutely. And those plants, all those little barley plants or whatever I got going, they're shooting exudates down into the soil, attracting more microbes, which my cannabis plant doesn't have to exude exudates to track those microbes. That's happening above it already. So its feeder row to grow up there and just benefit once it gets in touch with those microbes that are already present there. So yeah,
it's feeding more microbes. It's allowing more microbes to grow, or more. I just call it biology. It's the more the better. It's like, okay, I can build a house myself. It'll take me, say, a year to build a small cabin. But if I got 20 guys that come out, it takes a few hours to do the same job. So, the more biodiverse, because, okay, a protozoa has a particular job, but if that protozoa is split between a family of 20 different types of protozoa, they each have a little bit different of a job. One might be mining, calcium out of sand, where the other one's doing it out of, straight organic material or out of silt.
Yep.
So the more you have, the more workers, and the more biodiverse the workers, everything gets built that much faster.
Yep. It pushes that whole nutrient cycle. It's like, I look at it almost like an engine. That nutrient cycle is just kicking at 100 miles. Yeah.
Well, you look at Yellow Skunk Farm, Josh, and what he has created, that total living ecosystem. That's a SIP as well.
Yeah.
And like I grew it through SIP as well. I started out, very much in cloth bags, 5-gallon cloth bags. I moved up to I cut 55-gallon barrels, the blue barrels.
Nice.
In half.
Yep.
Yeah, I put plastic Pepsi bottle holders. You get the bigger ones, 2 liter, and what they come in is a blue.
That blue plastic
structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like a milk crate, a modified milk crate.
Yeah, I used that. Then I put in fabric cloth, which was my biggest mistake ever.
Oh
wow! Because it was allowing for an anaerobic pocket, but I was doing it, like you said, that the 2 sides that were going down where the water could, get around fully. Yep. And then I actually put a hose in on a Y or an L with the clear plastic, so I could actually see how much water I had in, because I was just using a PVC pipe and filling it up from the top, and then I go, okay, I'm right at that point where I'm going to be hitting the main soil body, and I would keep it under that so that there was that air.
Perfect. Yeah, mine have like an overflow hole even. So like if once it approaches that, there's a hole there, so it starts dripping out. So I used to fill them up when I first started with my SIP containers, I would fill them until I saw the water dripping out that hole. I'm like, all right, that's full. But that created anaerobic situations when you kept it that full every day, or not good situations. So yeah, I stopped doing that and realized I need to just fill it, let it use all the water up, give it, even giving it a day of air, the soil block is still usually fully saturated after a day of, and so like I said, I'm usually a day or 2 before I have to water. It's in veg, it could be a freaking week sometimes before I water. So it all depends. I always make sure the plant it's on the plant schedule, not mine. So however long it takes it to get it all the way dry. I'm like, you get it all the way dry, you eat all your food before I give you more.
You're not going to get dessert till you eat your carrot. Okay?
Exactly. And it's actually really frugal with water, because you're not having runoff, and you're using up all the water that you use. You're not having a lot of water waste.
Well, and that's the thing, but you are getting hydrophobic zones in there, even if you can't see them. They are actually happening, I should say. But if like I when I was watering, a lot of the times before I was using this actual SIP, I was top watering, and then I had the tray. The water was coming through, and lots of times, a little bit dry. It was just pouring out. But then I would leave the plant sitting in that tray full of water for 45 minutes. Right? And it would suck up that water. Yeah. And then I knew that everything was actually moist but if there was excess after that 45 minutes, I would take that out so I wasn't causing a zone where, it's going to be detrimental.
Yeah. I was doing Band-Aids. So what I was doing at first, I was watering it every day. And I was like, oh, I got to be making anaerobic situations. How do I fix this? Oh, I just watered labs in the water. And I did that, and it was fine. It actually was fine. But it didn't fix my anaerobic situation. I still had an anaerobic situation. It was just that it was fairly safe for the roots because it was populated by a good, lab.
Biology.
Yeah, good biology. So I got to thinking, I was like, oh no, what am I doing? And I really got to think, I'm like, no, just let it dry out. Everything's in a cycle, just ebb and flow. So once I figured that out, I really took off, and my plants really saw a big increase in health, and everything seemed to work way better. So, and that's the fun thing to me, and what makes growing so endlessly entertaining is that there's so many ways to grow. Like right now, I've got organic living soil that's 4 years old, never been changed, right next to a DWC bucket full of water and some air stones and some synthetic nutrients, and they're both fun as hell to me and interesting. It keeps me engaged, and every grow is different. It's not boring because it's always different. Every single grow. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting excited here now.
Well, and you should be, because that passion of learning is what has brought you to the point you're at now. And to keep being able to step forward and be excited about going in there, that excitement, that positive energy, the plants feel that, your kids feel that, your wife feels that. You go in and you walk past somebody on the street and you have that bubbly attitude, they feel that as well. That's why I tell people, get out, smile at everybody. If somebody's an asshole and they growl at you, just smile more, okay?
Oh, that's my favorite thing. Oh, I could go endless on things like that. I used to have a job where I was in a union, and I was the union steward. So
oh God,
all of the problems, you have the company coming to me to say, hey, we have a problem with this employee, they're doing this, and then you have the employee coming to you go, no, none of that's true. I am a perfect person and I don't make mistakes. And I see so many arguments where, especially in I was in warehousing and stuff like that, so testosterone was running high, and people would get loud. And the best tactic, people getting loud and they're mad and they're yelling, let them do their thing. And when they're done talking and done making noise, I just calmly say, are you done with your temper tantrum? Can we talk now? And then the smile comes out, and oh shit.
Well, I know I was a truck driver for over 20 years, and I actually managed a large warehouse between the truck drivers and the warehouse. And, trailers were overloaded, and the drivers were, I ain't taking that. And, they're screaming back and forth. And sometimes you got to get in between them so they don't start throwing fists. But other than that, it's like, just, figure it out. When you calm down, we'll get it sorted out. It's crazy.
In the end, the job has to get done. So let's work this out and get the job done, guys, so we could all just go home.
Yes. Or get in the back of the truck and just drive for the next 16 hours so I can cool off.
Yeah. Well, in Michigan, you cool off real quick in the back of a truck. I tell you that, especially this time of year. Well, you got it even worse.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are warm down there. You're above freezing. I'm like freaking way below freezing right now.
Yeah. Well, we were below freezing for the last 2 days, but we've got a heat wave going through right now. We're having a heat wave through Christmas. Wow. I think we're going to have a 40-degree Christmas, which is 8 degrees above freezing.
Santa's coming on a surfboard this year.
Yeah. Oh, that's just amazing. I wish that we had that here this year, especially with my bloody snowblower. But I grew up in Alberta, and I remember as a kid, generally it was October, it hit, minus 20 for us. So, just under zero for you guys, but it would stay for 5 months, and it would fluctuate down to like minus 40s. you know, and minus 40 is where we match up Celsius and Fahrenheit. So you
Yeah.
can think, but
That's where we
as
start having.
kids,
That's where we have the same temperatures as like Mars and things like that. When you get down to minus 40.
but as a kid, you just bundle up and you go out barreling out and play in the, you know, snow that was, you know, 6 feet deep.
That's when you realize the real reason you make ski masks.
Yes.
The real you know, there is a real reason for that. It's not just to hide your face.
That was my youth, baby. You know,
Mine
ice
too.
fishing.
Mine too. We had them. We thought we were cool as hell wearing them too.
Yep. I still have one for going and blowing snow. Okay, or else you get kind of white.
Yep. It just covers, and it gets the little beads of moisture, then they freeze.
If you breathe on that mustache, you get little crispies on it. But
oh yeah,
guys, we're actually at an hour and a half, and I know you have another show that you're going to be having to get to very shortly.
Yeah.
So I want to respect that, but I want you guys to come back, you know, on and talk more with me, and I want to invite you guys on with Leighton Morrison. I think you guys would have an amazing conversation there as well.
I would love that.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
we would. Yeah.
Oh.
Let's do that. Oh, there it is. He's got it right there.
Oh,
It's
very
actually
nice.
bright yellow. Okay.
You got to put that on one time on stream, and you'll blend into the background. It'll just be your eyes sticking out. You look like a raccoon.
Well, yeah, and then smoke a big fatty and go, oh, I just came back.
The power of the cannabis.
Okay, guys. Thanks, everybody in the chat. It's been an amazing evening, and it'll happen again soon. Don't forget tomorrow, which is Sunday, Dr. Paula is supposed to be getting us one more episode this year. And then, of course, on Monday, we have... I want to call him Josh, but Dirt Right coming back with Leighton on Monday. But guys, thank you so much, and we'll look forward to you guys coming back on.
Thank you so much for having us on, and we'd be so happy to come back. We'd be honored.
Thank you so much, Ken. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Peace out, everybody.
Stay sticky.